Hi everyone, welcome to, of course, China. Today we're here with a very special show, one-on-one with American Chinese comedian Joe Wong. Joe is doing now his Pearl River Delta South China tour. Yesterday he did 2 shows in Shenzhen. Today he's just between the Chinese show in Dongguan, right here next door, and he's going in an hour to go to do stand-up comedy in English, and tomorrow he's doing 2 shows in Guangzhou. Joe, thank you for being here. I appreciate your time very, very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Zeb.
Yeah. How was the show? The Chinese?
It was great, yeah.
It was good.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a lot of laughs.
Yeah.
Is it new material?
Well, it's a mix. For every
mix.
comic, it's like a mix of old and new jokes.
Have you done Chinese shows in many places in China?
Oh, yeah. I've been touring since 2013.
2013?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I want to start by saying that, in my opinion, you're one of the greatest Asian comedians out there, especially because you've made it in the US in English, and you've made it in China in Mandarin. I don't think there are many comedians that have made it like in 2 languages. Am I correct?
Well, yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, a lot of people, I guess I was better known for doing both, but there are other comedians who are doing this right now.
2 languages?
2 languages. I think it's because there's a lot of Chinese learned English from very early on. And their English was really good, and they studied abroad. So I always feel that using another language to tell jokes is probably the best way to learn a language.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you learn more English through doing jokes?
Not really, not me, but I'm just saying others.
Others,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. But after I started doing stand-up comedy, my English improved a lot.
Right.
Yeah, because I used to, I took GRE, and I even memorized the dictionary a couple of times. So I used to use a lot of archaic words.
Okay.
Like lugubrious or something. People are like, what?
What
This guy's so pretentious. I don't want to be friends with him anymore.
You just want to be better in English.
Yeah. But it was kind of interesting looking back that I kind of assumed that Americans know every word in the dictionary. For some reason, so I just keep using the words I learned from the dictionary, but like most people don't know most of the words in the dictionary anyway.
Right,
yeah.
right. Did you ever work on your English accent?
Oh yeah, I had
You
to.
did?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I first went there, sometimes they really had a hard time understanding me, but it was really tough. But I'm very grateful for a British friend of mine.
Okay.
He was from Liverpool. I still remember him. He's a great guy. Once we had lunch together, this was in Texas. The waiter came over and said, "Oh, I want some water." The guy wrote water. The British guy said, "I want some water." And then the Texas waiter was like, "What do you want?" I was like, great, this guy came from the country that invented English.
It made you feel.
Yeah, I was like,
you felt a little better.
Yeah. They understood me instead of the British guy.
Right, right. But I mean, accent can be good, right? It's more memorable. It's more.
Yeah, but it was a huge hurdle for me because
Right.
I can't tell you how many people said to me, "Oh, I'm just worried about your accent," or even TV producers like, "Yeah, I can understand your accent because I'm from New York, but those
Right.
people in the Midwest,
Right,
they,
right. Right.
But it's just a little bit condescending because there are a lot of smart people in the Midwest, and I
Right.
did comedy shows there. It was fine, but
Right.
but a lot of the TV execs, they're like, "Oh,
They're
I know
worried.
everything."
Right. Yeah, I understand that. So doing comedy in the US in English, and in China in Chinese, which one is more challenging and which one is more rewarding?
Yeah, I think both are challenging in their own ways. For me to tell American jokes, that was a very rough start because I couldn't even understand the jokes in the beginning, even though my English was pretty good after 8 years of staying in the US. When I actually went to a comedy show the first time, I could only understand only half the jokes. And But gradually I kind of got over that. Then I came to China. It's a completely different story because a lot of people knew me from TV. And they put me on TV shows. They were like, "Oh, you're a comedian. Why don't you tell us a joke?" And they just, for some reason, people assume you're funny, and you're funny. And then I have to literally translate my jokes from English to Chinese on spot. Yeah, it was very
Did
tough.
it work? Does it work?
Some jokes work, some jokes won't.
So you tried and
I
you
tried.
learned
Yeah,
what works.
yeah. That's why, almost since day one, I set foot in China, I started to go to the clubs in Beijing.
Beijing has more open mic clubs.
Oh no! Back in 2013, there's one comedy club in Beijing, a city of 24 million people.
Mm-hmm.
They have one show every week at most.
Oh.
Yeah, so I showed up. I started to promote the club on my Weibo account, and I still remember, like years later, one guy said to me, "Hey, do you know how did we start doing stand-up comedy?" I said, "Oh, how did you get started?" He said, "Yeah, do you remember after one show, a group of us huddled together in the Hutang, which is a small alley in Beijing, right next to a dumpster. And we were asking you, hey, how were the shows run in America? And then you told us how the open mics were run, how the professional shows were run. And that's it. And now Beijing has 6 or 7 different comedy clubs.
There's 6 and 7.
Yeah, and then there's like at least a dozen shows every night.
So you have a hand in it.
What?
You have a hand in it.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty
great.
happy. I actually, made a difference in the comedy scene here. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So both are challenging, you'd say.
Oh yeah.
And for you, as being like you're born in China, you grew up in China, and you moved to the U.S. So is any one of them more rewarding? Like, because I would think as a Chinese, it was probably very rewarding to succeed in the U.S.
Yeah, especially after I got to roast the vice president of another country.
The president now.
Yeah. Actually, he became the president.
Right.
So Kamala Harris.
Yes, she's next.
Take a hint. Yeah, Joe Biden became president 10 years after I roasted him.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe 2022 again.
I hope so. Yeah.
So okay. So is it okay? It's a similar thing. Is it different to write joke in Chinese and in English? What's the difference? How do you approach it?
Yeah. I think I'm pretty diligent in terms of writing jokes or scripts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of talent. I just work really hard.
Okay.
And probably not hard enough, but still I work pretty hard. And but after working in both languages for a while, the logic behind the jokes are exactly the same. There's no difference.
Okay.
The only difference, two differences, is basically of course, language is different and the cultural subcontext.
Right.
Like subway jokes really works in America because most people don't write public transportation.
Mm-hmm.
But here, jokes about buses and subways and trains, gets a lot of laughs.
So pay attention to the culture.
Yeah.
Right. But the premise, build a punchline, it's the same. A similar thing.
Yeah.
Right. And you say you work hard on writing jokes, meaning like you set time to sit down and write jokes?
Yeah.
Where do you take the inspiration from life? Or?
It's just from everyday life, my feeling, my experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I never see you. Did you ever say the F word? I mean, I've never seen you like.
Yeah.
I never seen it like your comedy is quite clean. It's like, is it intentional?
Yeah, it was intentional because I hang out in the comedy clubs a lot.
Okay.
And 80 to 90% of the jokes are dick jokes or jokes with cuss words in it.
Right.
After a while, I'm just a little bit sick of it. But I started to use it after like 2018. So basically after like America started to put immigrant kids in cages.
When you started getting angry.
Yeah, then I just flipped. I was like, this is not America. This America is fucked up. I was like, how can you?
So you let yourself go a bit. You got more angry.
Oh yeah. I was like, from that point on, it's like America has no right to accuse any other country of committing human rights violations. It's like, look at what you're doing now. It's just like, it's just unconscionable.
So okay, so before we go into that part, which I want to talk about, I want to know more like your beginning. When did you start telling jokes? Were you funny as a kid? Was it natural?
I love humor, and I liked, traditional crosstalk sketches and even sitcoms. I still remember when I was in college, I saw some American sitcom translated into Chinese on TV.
Which one was that? Do you remember?
I think it's either Growing Up one.
Growing Pains?
Growing Pains.
Okay.
But I didn't know, I only watched it for 5 minutes.
Okay.
But then I was like, wow, this is great form. You got a situation, people telling funny things. And, but I always felt that when I'm at home or at school, I'm not the funniest guy. I was never the funniest guy. My classmates are funnier. My classmates, they would taunt other people and and then when they try to beat him up, he just spits on them and run away. Everybody thought that guy was hilarious.
But you wanted to be that guy?
No, I don't want to be that guy, but we're friends. Yeah, I would never imagine myself being a funny person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did it start? How did you start doing stand-up? I mean, I think, was it Boston or?
Yeah, in Boston.
How?
Yeah, a couple of reasons. One is I just wanted to broaden my horizon at the time. I tried shooting some guns.
Try something new, right?
Try something new,
yeah.
and then I tried stand-up comedy. And of course, I bombed like almost every other new comedian. But then I still want to do it again. And it's always my theory that if you try something and fail and you still want to do it, that might be a calling.
Right.
Yeah, that's one reason. Another reason is the workplace is pretty rough for Asian American or Asian immigrants, especially like myself. I work really hard. I got the only patent in my company, but I was never promoted. I worked there for almost 8 years or 9 years. But I just feel that in comedy it's more fair. You tell a joke, they either laugh or not laugh. There's no, no bamboo seating. Yeah, it is what it is. So, but that's what I thought. But there is a seating as well.
So you continued. Yeah. All right, so we were talking about you starting out in Boston, right?
Yeah.
And let me say, I noticed that in China, stand-up comedy is referred to as talk show.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
It's a misnomer that's probably too late to correct.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's a talk show. I mean,
it's a talk, it's a show. But on the other hand, the English word is kind of ridiculous. Stand-up comedy,
Right.
You can't do this sitting down. What do you do? Stand-up? And it's like, what?
Probably talk show, it makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
Last year when you came here to Dongguan, it was the first time I noticed. People say, oh, you have a talk show. And I'm like, what? We don't have we have stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Talk show.
They don't know what stand-up is.
So what is a talk show in China?
Yeah, talk show is both. It's both live stand-up comedy show and the opera style show.
Right.
It's
So
also
both
called
is
a
talk show.
Yeah.
And your show on CCTV, you do jokes?
Yeah, it's more like a variety show. I do start with probably 8 or 10 jokes, and then we will do some kind of investigation. Like, is it true that there's more bacteria in ice cubes in fast food restaurants than in toilet water?
So it's funny and serious.
Yeah, it's both. So the rating was really high for a while, but then now nobody watches TV anymore. Yeah,
that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, exactly. But if you go to second-tier cities, like even when I'm in Shenzhen, I can still get recognized by people. I'm just surprised people still watch it. But then there's still, people who, like my parents' generation, they still just watch a lot of TV.
Older people definitely, right?
Yeah,
they watch TV.
Yeah.
But they don't put it online, like it's not on Weibo
which,
and all of that.
Which I think is a shame. They should have put it online years ago.
Like all the show in the US, all the shows in the US, they're all
I know,
online, right?
But then that show just you have to go to a specific website, and that website is not that popular. I wish that they can just, you know, whoever wants
like
to post it, to do it, you know.
All right, I see. All right, so what the first you moved to the U.S. 1994?
Yeah.
What made you? I mean, you went to do your PhD, right?
Oh yeah, I
But
wanted to be
was
a
it a
professor.
long plan? Like you wanted to go to the U.S.?
Oh yeah, because America is the best place for biochemistry. It's amazing. You look at the Nobel Prize winners. Most of the time, most of the winners are Americans, and it doesn't matter the physics category or chemistry category. I would say 90% of them is related to biochemistry. And if you look at the resume, they don't even have to come from elite schools. Sometimes just a state college.
Oh,
they
really?
have Nobel Prize winners. Yeah,
Wow.
like UCLA or University of Washington, or the school I went to, like Rice University, tiny school.
So you were really into that subject?
Yeah.
At that time?
Yes.
And did you? It's like, was it tough to your parents send you to the U.S.? Like,
Oh no, they're quite happy. Finally, he's gone.
but I mean, money-wise and stuff like that, it must be hard, right?
Yeah, but then all they had to do was no, they don't. I borrowed money from a friend of mine who's already in the U.S. They paid for my ticket.
Okay.
And my parents just have to come up with the money so I can return it to them.
Okay.
And that's it, because I got a scholarship from Rice University.
Right. You got a scholarship.
Yeah. So at least I can live off of that. Yeah.
And you went to Rice University.
Yeah.
Did many people make jokes about that?
Not until I was in Boston, though.
Okay.
Yeah. Because Rice is the is the world's best university in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. Because in Texas, people really love that school, and nobody would think another thought about it. But only outside of the state of Texas, people are like, you're Asian, you're wearing Rice University.
Yeah. Did they have a lot of rice there?
Yeah.
So how were the first years in the U.S.? Were they good?
It's great, but then it was tough for the first year or two.
Okay.
Just because I was a very popular guy in China. Like when I was talking, like in the lobby downstairs, students on the second or third floor of the dorm would just come out, say hi. You know, I just feel that everybody loved me.
Okay.
But when I was in the U.S., you know, I can't communicate. You know, when I went to Chinese Academy of Science, my organic chemistry is 100. You know, it's a full score. But then when I was in the U.S., I don't know how to say those chemicals in English. People thought, oh, this guy is really, you know, he's not that great, or just oh, it's really very tough, and
learning curve.
Yeah, learning curve.
So the first couple of years were hard.
Yeah.
And you were learning a lot of English through that.
Yeah, and also people just feel, oh, his English, even though I start to make friends, they still feel your English is not good enough for certain activities with them.
Right.
They're like, oh, when they play role play games, they wouldn't include me or something, you know. But I kind of understand. It takes probably another level of English, but I also feel, oh man, this sucks. I don't want to try another culture again.
I mean, I'm connected with a lot of local people here in Dongguan that studied abroad. There are a lot of people here. There is an association, Dongguan Overseas Scholars Association, right? It's a big one, and they have every year, you know, some anniversaries, and they do a lot of stuff, and it seems that almost 100% right now of Chinese people studying abroad come back to China. Is that something what you see, and why? I mean, really, almost all of them come back to China.
Well, I think you're in Guangdong. It's a pretty advanced province. You know, the GDP of Guangdong province is higher than Russia. You know, it's just it's different here, because students know they're going to have a better opportunity here.
They want to come back to.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of Chinese students who stayed in America.
So you do see people staying there.
Yes.
But here in Dongguan, I really see a lot of them coming back here. I guess also a lot of them come from family businesses, and so it's the opportunity.
There's a lot more businesses and like economic activities here to be to make
And
it more
it's
interesting.
a little funny because a lot of time I meet someone and they speak English not so good.
Uh-huh.
And then I discovered they actually studied 4 years in Texas or UK or somewhere, and they don't speak English that well. But I mean, I understand why. I mean, this is like 5 years ago. They graduated. In the past 5 years, they did not speak any English.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so that's kind of something interesting that I see here.
Yeah, and once you stop using a language, you
Right.
just gradually forget it. you know,
Right.
yeah.
So, okay, I want to ask you, you are American now,
Yeah, yeah.
but you're Chinese,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay, so you're both, right?
Yep.
Okay, and where do you feel home? Where do you feel at home more?
Oh, honestly, I even say this on stage. You know, my problem is that I really love both countries. Sometimes I feel that America is like my wife, and China is like my mom, and now they don't get along. As a married person, you probably know how that feels.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
it's a weird thing that I don't have any relatives who's in the U.S. You know, all
Right.
my parents, my family, they're all in China. So China has always been my home, and I also spent my formative years in America. So you know, it's hard for me to pick. I think ideal situation would be. Ideally, I can spend half my time here and half my time there, but it's kind of impossible. So
You're kind of a Waigoran in China now, no?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you're both in
both.
both home, both Waigoran.
Yeah, when people get mad at me in China, they will say to me, "Hey, go back to America." I was like, "Oh, wow, I'm getting some white privilege here in China."
All right, so we're gonna take a very short break,
Yeah.
and we come back soon.
Okay.
Okay, and we are back with Joe Wong. So Joe, so you've been more and more vocal about anti-Asian racism in the US, and I'm a Jewish person in China.
Yeah.
Every day I face positive racism.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because Chinese people love Jewish people,
Yeah.
and you know how many hundreds of times I sat in a taxi and where are you from? Italy. I'm from Israel. Oh, you're Thailand? Yes. Oh, you're very charming, very smart.
Yeah.
I like to say I kind of like it and hate it at the same time.
I know.
Because it's generalization. I always say half of Israel is stupid. Believe me, you know.
There's stupid people in every race.
Exactly.
To be honest,
Exactly. So, have you personally felt any racism in the U.S.?
Oh yeah. Well, what you said is kind of like stereotypes. You know, that's something I wasn't prepared for. My host family lady was like, first time she saw me, she's like, "Please don't laugh at my math abilities." I was like, how did she know I was good at math? You know, but that's kind of benign. You know, it doesn't.
Right.
But there are other things I noticed over the years. But I always thought it's going to change by the time I grow up or something, by the time I graduate or by the time I work or have a family.
Right.
But then it just never changed, you know. Like when people use the N-word, it's a big outcry.
Right.
But when people say those Asian slurs, for some reason they can get away with it. And like,
people still say them, but the N-word is like really.
Right. Even like talk show hosts like Rosie O'Donnell or
they still
Bill
say
Maher. No, even if they say the N-word, they will apologize the next day like a baby, and they were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." But if they use Bill Maher even used the word, "Oh, he's the head chink," and then when the Chinese protested, he just refused to apologize.
He said it's okay.
Yeah, he said it's okay. Or Rosie O'Donnell, he apologized. "Oh, I heard it's a bad word. I know it's bad. I'm sorry, but I might say it again. That's just how my brain works." Just like, hey, you know, you want me to say sorry? I'm saying sorry, but just get off.
So it's still happening.
Yeah, it's still happening, and I kind of understood the situation because when I first started talking about the racial hierarchy in America, a white guy even threw water at me, just because they were so uncomfortable listening to an Asian guy talking about race. Just totally unacceptable to them.
Right.
And now I kind of understand, because this was a recent event. There are some Chinese Trump supporters demonstrating on the street, and there's a white Trump supporter telling them, you go back to China. And then the Chinese guys like, that's racism. And the guy said, racism is what white people did to black people.
It's all like out of control. I mean, it's like
but
ridiculous.
But what he said is actually was on a lot of people's mind. When that's why when some Asians brought up racism against Asians, like white people and black people, they got really mad. They was like, "What are you talking about? Just get out of here! Not you two."
So you've seen this in the last years, and it keeps happening.
And first. Of course, you always have people on the street calling your names. That's fine. But then, back in, I remember this was 2012. What was his name? This veteran comedian just called me like Chinaman from stage. And then afterwards, he came to me. He realized something was off. Then he said to me, "Oh, it's okay, right, Joe?" I said, "No, it's not cool, man." It was Gary Goldman. Now I remember it.
Okay.
And then he was like, "That's cool, man." And I said, "No, it's not cool. Why you know not to say the N-word? You keep saying like Chinaman."
Right.
And he said, "Oh, that's a funny word everybody uses."
So how do you know what? So what is racist? What is not?
I know.
It's hard to.
That's why. But everybody knows Chinaman is a racist term, at least in Boston. And this is small.
I didn't know. I don't know. I'm not using this word, but
but you didn't grow up in America.
No, I didn't grow up in America.
Yeah, that's the thing. Every American knows this is a bad word. Yeah, it's a racist word.
Right.
But then he wouldn't admit it, and then we had this fight, and it's a very close-knit community in Boston. The comics, the comedians would say to me, "Oh, I heard you had a fight with Gary Goldman, and then that's it. Nobody would say he was wrong or I was right. No one said it.
Right.
That's just two lessons I learned. One is if you're Asian, you brought racism, you get people mad. Two is if you fight against it, you're on your own. And that was 2012. And even like my close friends said, "Oh, just let it go." And I did let it go. I didn't make big fuss about it. And until this year, 2020, February 15th, I did another show in LA. This guy was saying chink on stage, a white comedian. And then I was standing backstage. 3 other white comedians were laughing backstage. I was packing up. I did my set already. I was ready to go. I was like, "Hey, this is not right." And I just went over there. I said, "Oh, this is not right, man. Why is he saying chink on stage?" And the 3 white comedians all said to me, "Oh, Joe, it's funny. You should know the context.
Just chill,
So the only thing that makes me madder than someone saying chink is people telling me it's not racism. And the rule of thumb in America is if a white guy tells you that's not racism,
it's racist.
Yeah, it usually is. So.
No, because I mean, honestly, I think it is hard to know. I mean, everything you said, I wouldn't know. I mean, you said I didn't grow up in America, yes, but well, a lot of people in America didn't grow up in America. That's also
but that's still a relatively small percentage.
Right, the N-word, everybody knows all over the world.
All over the world. That's why I was really mad, because people don't even know what is offensive to Asians. That's why I started to tell people the 7 Asian slurs now on stage.
Okay, so there should be what is offensive?
Yeah, what is offensive?
Please don't call us this.
Yeah,
that's Asian people could say that, right?
Yeah.
That's the best way. And so we had someone in the podcast, actually, he's opening for you today and last time too. We spoke about black people, and someone was saying that it's not nice that Chinese people say, hey Ren.
Yeah.
And then I said, but we say black people.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah, when Chinese people say hey Ren, I don't think that's derogative.
Okay.
No.
You don't think so?
Well, I have to ask.
Is it okay to say black people in the US? white people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I say white people all the time.
Yeah.
In
white
China,
people,
in relation to Asian, I say white people. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
But like, I used to be very careful. I say African Americans, but then my black friends, they say, "Hey, come on, you can just say black. It's fine." You know.
Right.
So yeah, I go with what black people say. You know, they have the ultimate say, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we need to know. I need to know from people like you. What shouldn't I call you? You know, as Asian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then, I mean, I should respect that.
Yeah.
People should be respectful, right?
Yeah. You should just call me the virus. No.
China virus. Yeah. All right. So we're almost done here. I just want to ask you. You are father of a 13-year-old Chinese boy in America, and I'm the father of a 13-year-old American girl born in China.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, how does that work?
Yes. So my girl, she's American. She was born here in Dongguan. But she's still American. She doesn't get the Chinese.
Oh, is your wife also American?
My wife is American.
Oh,
right?
okay.
My wife is American. So, but your son, he has American citizenship, right?
Yeah.
But he's a Chinese, descent, right?
Yeah.
So, the comparison, where do you think it's better, or advantages and disadvantages of growing up in China of today, I'd say, and the USA?
Oh, I just feel it really depends. It depends on the person. I always feel that in an ideal world, I believe that it should be a human right to choose the country that fits a person. That's the ideal world. And I always feel that the racism in America is not a domestic issue. It's actually an international issue. When Trump calling another country a shithole country, people are going to look down on, person whose ancestors came from that country.
Right.
I think it's a world problem. We should really promote the idea that the countries are equal.
Right.
The next step is are the races are equal, individuals are equal. That without countries being equal, I just don't think American or any country can ever get rid of racism.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. So I think that's all the time we have for today.
Okay.
You have a show very soon. I would love to talk to you for hours more, but I don't want to take more of your time. You should rest a little bit. I can hear them, right?
Yeah.
And this was, of course, China. We were here with Joe Wong today.
Yeah.
And if you like what you saw, please give us a like, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. I'll be back in Dongguan again. So,
Yeah. Come back, see Joe.
Yeah, if you miss this time, remember next time. Yeah, if you miss next time, you just don't like me.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Thanks, Jim.